A little time passed. The supply troops belonging to the Imperial Army's Magic Tank Division were about to face trials. Gentlemen, I'm glad you followed me to this point. But everyone needs to be prepared, and then comes the heavy lifting. The person who said this was Hakurou, who had been assigned to the Green Legion. It was thanks to Hakurou, the teacher, that all this came true. The Green Legion marched out at the same time as Gobta and others, running to get there so the enemy wouldn't find out. You are to be commended for your flexibility in using the Kai fighting method taught by me. Hakurou said as he put on a Buddha-like and kind face. Our mission is to cut off the enemy supply line here. Although it is not very meaningful, but if we can defeat the enemy's supply troops in the rear, we can more or less thwart the enemy's fighting spirit. There is no need to do needless killing in the face of the enemy, but there is no need to show mercy to the enemy either. Besides. Speaking this way, Hakurou glanced towards the battlefield, then revealed a smile, then continued to say the following words. Gobta has also changed. When the bait is right, it's right. You can't lose to the army chief either, but you have to play well. Not losing to the sound of explosions coming from afar, Hakurou's voice was resounding. Some people who had no real-world experience in combat were sedated by such a Hakurou and began to feel nervous. Listen up, don't think of anything superfluous while you're fighting. Be aware that the one who does not hack the enemy to death is himself. If you let the enemy escape, your partner will die as a result. It's an iron law on the battlefield. Just now, everyone was still panting, but they all unconsciously held their breath and listened to Hakurou speak. This is hitting everyone's hearts. Let those who are well aware not be confused on the battlefield. The value of life is not created equal. Compared to the lives of those we cherish, other strangers become indifferent. And the enemy is still the aggressor. These fools have no value in keeping us alive. Don't think about it. Kill them all. Then Hakurou pressed everyone through such fierce words, minimizing their guilt. This Hakurou was being considerate of everyone. If it is you who have been exercised by the master, even those pieces of iron can't be cut off. What the enemy shoots is nothing more than gadgets that look like standing still to you, don't they? In that case, there is no need to be afraid. There is no opponent before a blade. It doesn't look like it's standing still at all, that's something no one can say. And just like that, the Green Legion has been waiting in the wings. They were waiting for Hakurou's instructions to order a surprise attack. The army chiefs who led them were on a more dangerous mission to be the decoy. Fight beautifully without disgracing the name of the four heavenly kings. According to Benimaru's battle plan, the Gobta group is going to fight tooth and nail to maintain the glue. This will surely make the enemy feel anxious. The magic tank's shells were not infinite, and there was always a moment when that shower of gunfire stopped. At this point, it was Hakurou's turn to make their appearance. To strike the enemy's supply forces and seize their supplies. This would also easily paralyze enemy magic tanks. There is another purpose, which is to force out the hidden masters, to wait for the opponent to show up for a win or loss. I hope it's in front of me. Hakurou expected so, but it also depended on timing. It was their first time on the battlefield, and they would have died if they had been consumed by fear. Though hopefully they'll more or less alleviate their fears, then the next. All we can do now is pray that the battle will be successful and that everyone will be safe. Hakurou thought so in his heart, but those worries were ultimately unwarranted. Listen up, everybody. Suddenly, through Benimaru's skill, Rimuru used his mind to talk to everyone. Just by hearing those words, the uneasiness in the hearts of the monsters disappeared. Immediately after, unspeakable excitement began to well up, and the flesh gradually became hot as if it were burning. Get rid of the enemy as quickly as possible. Rimuru said so. No, he gave the order. This made Hakurou smile darkly. Looks like I'm overdoing it. You all heard me, right? Yes. Well, go ahead, everyone. There's no need to hold back any longer. Go to the battlefield and make the most of your strength. Long before the old man said those words, the legion of monsters then rushed out like a wave of fury. After that, 10 minutes passed. Some of the infantry, who were originally guarding the Empire's supply forces, fought against the horizontally lined-up army of monstrous creatures. The sudden surprise attack by the opponent almost had them in disarray, but these were the elite men of the Empire. They immediately reorganized their posture to find order. Damn it. Everyone switched from small guns to magic guns. The whole squad just needs to get the important supplies and meet up with this team. Small pistols based on knowledge brought from another world to recreate the weapon. There was not much use against magic. The Green Legion is equipped with the latest special grade defense. It was a scaly shield that Garm had processed from Charybdis's scales. A lead bullet can bounce off at any time, and it has a special effect. No. Magic is useless against enemy forces. Highly resistant to magic, that's where the scaled shield really comes in. There was another nightmare coming at the Imperial Army in the back. The flying dragons flew in from the air. These were the elite of the Blue Corps led by Ultima. Spill blood all you want. After this lovely shout, the entire ground exploded and burst into flames. This was a large-scale attack with the flaming jades. Although not very powerful, it was already quite lethal when used on the infantry of the Empire. And the roar was enough to bring chaos to the battlefield. Seeing that the battle situation was more favorable to her side than what he had just worried about, Hakurou was somewhat relieved. "Hi Mr. Hakurou. Can you hand them over to me for now?" "So it's Miss Ultima. It doesn't matter if I do it for a while." Seeing Ultima jump off the flying dragon's back, Hakurou was like an amiable old grandfather, responding with composure. It's a far cry from the way he treated the group. "Yeah. Then I'll leave it to you." Ultima also looked cute, begging like a granddaughter who was pandering to her grandfather. Varanon's Onda must have looked dumbfounded, thinking they were dreaming. After all, how could Ultima talk like that? "That's fine, but..." "Well, what is it?" "It's nothing really. Just a question, is Ultima-sama close to Carrera-sama?" "Well, that's a bit of a concern, but since it's Mr. Hakurou, I'll let it go. The answer is simple, we're on super bad terms." Ultima replied with a narrow smile. The expression on her face was as cute as ever, and the vibe on her body was starting to get a little intimidating. "Well, that's a shame. Why do you ask?" "It's nothing, just a little interest. Lady Carrera has a subordinate named Ajera who I want to ask if you know anything about him or not." Hakurou stammered. This demon in Ajera resembles someone Hakurou knew, or he should say it's exactly the same. This person was Araki Byakuya, the grandfather and master of Hakurou. That's why Hakurou was interested in Ajera. Yet Ajera, the party in question, looked as if he did not recognize Hakurou. "Is it because you've gotten older and changed your appearance?" Hakurou once thought so, but... sorry. I'm not interested, so it's not clear." Ultima said this indifferently. And she added, "If you care so much, why don't you just ask him yourself?" That statement is beside the point. Hakurou nodded as he listened, thinking that it was right to say so. "That's true. I'm sorry, I seem to have too many worries." Well, it's not good to think too much and worry too much. Still, that one's for later. What's more important now is combat. Otherwise, even Mr. Hakurou would have been scolded by Lord Rimuru. "Then the rest is up to you." Leaving those words with a smile, Ultima flew into the sky again. He watched her leave, and then Hakurou changed his expression to one of enlightenment. "Oh, my goodness. It seems that it was myself who was not cultivating enough. I'll have to make up for that as soon as possible." Immediately afterwards, Hakurou drew his sword. He turns into a swordsman and is ready to dominate the battlefield. The sight before his eyes stunned Major General Faraga. By managing the plural defensive borders with elite wizards, you can create an air fortress with a proud and all-around defense. Such a hovercraft was shot down by a magical creature. Is that guy a monster? I'm not getting any information from the intelligence agency. To get rid of his own self, who is a magical mentor and wizard, so give him false information. Faraga almost thought in that direction, but he thought it shouldn't be. No, not right. Those guys were transforming before my eyes. Could this be a change in the type of magical creature that Master had once written about in his book? The dragon people who had just fought them were magical creatures that had evolved from the lizard people. They have wings capable of flying through the air, and the stunt is to be able to spit out various attributes of attacks. The danger level is B among magical creatures, which is not to be underestimated, but it is certainly not a particularly threatening opponent. What's going on? Faraga originated to question the adjutant. The discrepancy between the facts and information at hand also seemed to baffle the adjutant in question. I'm so sorry. The person in charge of detecting the energy value of the enemy's magical creatures returned, saying that as soon as the other party's appearance changed, the values increased dramatically. The value was found to be several times higher than the benchmark classified as A rank. You mean, several times higher than an A rank? And completely resistant to magic, is that what it means? Faraga shouted, but that thought was actually wrong. Gabil and the others are not magically ineffective, despite their high level of magical resistance. It was just that the magic attacks released by the blimps weren't powerful enough to break the multiple barriers that guarded them. I don't want to admit it, but I can only speculate in this direction based on the current situation. Our magic attack was useless at all, but the attack from the enemy magical creatures brought down our proud airship. That kind of thing to see and know. Faraga was tempted to complain, but he stiffly suppressed the urge and managed to cope calmly. Thinking about this side, Faraga once again looked to the battlefield. Is the reason why it said several times more is because each one is equivalent to a high-ranking wizard. A catastrophe? No, maybe it's as good as a catastrophe class, is that right? Yes. That's what the analyst side said. That's tricky. If the magic is useful, even an A-grade magical creature can be disposed of. And what rank are the individuals leading the team? This. What's wrong? Answer quickly. Yes. Then I'll tell you. The adjutant faltered as he looked at the report, but re-reported under Faraga's glare. and its contents shocked Faraga. 10 times more, you say? Is this true? It's true. It's not that the detector is malfunctioning, that's for sure. I've heard that one particular individual has 10 times more mana than the others. What? Faraga lost his voice, dumbfounded. There's no information about the monster, not even the information given by the Intelligence Bureau. And he didn't participate in the martial arts tournament organized by the demon creature, so his fighting strength is unknown. The spy lurking over there said he seemed to have given a conference on herbs. I've heard that the content was interesting at the time, but in retrospect, the aim was actually to hide the equivalent of a catastrophe-level combat power. It was only after listening to the subordinate officers expressing their opinions that Faraga came to his senses. Underestimated by them, thought Faraga. Calm down, everyone. The enemy is magic. In that case, we win. No matter what opponent you face, it's fine as long as you do unleash the Magicule Disrupting Radiation and seal their movements. The dragon people are a very rare race. There are even rare, but not completely invincible, opponents who can transform among them. Start moving now. Ignoring the adjutants who had rushed to get started, Faraga struggled to get a grip on the battle. In the face of such casualties and losses, there is still a great chance of redemption. Major General Faraga, the radiation is ready. But if this goes on, our personnel will be affected. So what? No, it's okay. In that case, let's get on with it. Yes. The airship was able to float with the power of magic, so what would happen if it was irradiated with magical disruption? Still, Faraga didn't even raise an eyebrow and gave the order in this regard. Mana disrupting the radiation started radiation. Around the engaged hovercraft and gobbler, the remaining ships began to lay out. Then one by one, the Magicule disturbing radiation was irradiated from the bow of the ship. As a result, the blimps fell one after another, along with the draconians who were fighting them. Sorry about that. It's all a necessary sacrifice. Faraga opened his eyes and prayed silently. The fallen blimp hit the ground hard and burst into flames. The people sitting inside, not to mention the magical creatures, will not be safe and sound. Looks like it's all gone. Then it's just that special individual. Even if magic doesn't work, there's no way they can survive the shock and the heat. Although the sacrifice was great, being able to pack 100 high-ranking monsters, such a price is already quite cheap. The adjutants were relieved. But Faraga threw a cold shower of water at them with a scolding. Don't be careless. It was a sacrifice for a companion, nothing to be proud of in a battle like this. And we haven't packed that individual away yet. Hearing this, several adjutants tensed their nerves along with it. This is when he realized that the enemy's strength was on a different level than theirs. Letting all the magical vein disrupt the radio concentration only barely seals its action. Taking some time might have made it weaker, and it was surprising that there could even such a monster, except for Veldora. Doesn't that mean this guy's tougher than Gobta of the 4 heavenly kings? No, is it? It was at this moment that a certain thought suddenly flashed through Faraga's mind. In fact, this particular individual must be their target, Veldora. Faraga couldn't help but agree with himself. So that's it, this guy is Veldora. This would explain why his mana values were abnormally high. When he looked back, his mouth had taken the liberty of muttering those words. All sorts of reactions emerged from the adjutants as they listened. I see, because his seal has just been lifted, he has become weak, so weak that he cannot maintain his dragon form. Weak. He's so powerful, but he's still weakening. Even those followers are comparable to dragons, so maybe they can find someone comparable to the high-ranking dragon clan. Faced with such adjutants, Faraga opened his mouth. Exactly. That's what's scary about Veldora. Once upon a time, the Imperial army was defeated by Veldora. My master, Gadra, also told me about the situation at that time. It's been sealed for 300 years, and the guy is still so strong. It's hard to imagine how strong he was before being sealed, right? Immediately afterwards, when everyone decided that the particular individual in front of them was Veldora, the adjutants began to have a look of joy on their faces. A quick glance back reveals that they got the biggest battle result of the campaign so far. Faraga has to savor this good fortune. Is the output of the Magicule Disrupted Radiation okay? No problem. The output is down at 80%, which is pretty steady. How long will it take to get up to maximum output? Not for an hour. The current state alone was a struggle to seal the action, but Veldora's flesh had begun to gradually crumble. The effects should be well worth the wait. Does that mean that Veldora has only an hour to live if he comes back? Until then, Lord Jice can also complete the ground suppression. These adjutants are excellent. As far as he could see his intentions without saying anything, he started a discussion with the analysis class. Then revisited the combat plan and filtered out the problem. Magic doesn't work, and that's because the opponent is Veldora and his dependents, which is something that can't be done. But the goddess of victory is smiling down on us. As long as we wait slowly like this, the Empire's long-cherished wish will come true. Faraga was so convinced and inspired their soldiers and generals.